Hey there viewers, Erico here, South Main Auto. Welcome back to our channel. I've got a new fix here for you today, hopefully. Got this 99 Chevy Tahoe in, it's a four-wheel drive, it's got the 5.7. Needs a new Pitman arm. Came in for state inspection and the Pitman arm is pretty loose. Got some brand new one here from Moog. Go down to Advance Auto, here's what they look like. So it goes right on the steering box there. We're going to see what it takes to change it. I don't know if we'll be able to see this on the video or not, but here's the old Pitman arm. I'm trying to orient you here. This is the center link of the vehicle. Your steering box is right up here, so the Pitman arm bolts to the steering box. Let me wiggle this driver's side wheel, see if we can see this thing popping up and down or not. Might have the wrong camera angle. So hopefully you saw that. I don't know what you saw, but essentially the center link here is, popping up and down on this Pitman arm. So I'm going to go ahead and take the castle nut off of here, get the center link busted off at first. A little plastic flap here in the front of the truck, we're going to get that opened up and see what we need to do. So these guards, or whatever I guess you want to call it, on these Chevy trucks, they flip down so you can get to the grease fittings. I'm going to take it right off because we're going to be working in this area. So now that we have that cover on, kind of see where we're going. Going after this Pitman arm. It's pretty tight to the frame member here. It's only maybe a couple inches below it. We got to get a puller on it to yank it off there. Usually on there pretty good. So first thing we do, I guess we'll get this nut right here. We'll take that off. There's a nut and lock washer there. It's got a little rubber cover here. I think they push up into the gearbox a little bit, and then we'll take the castle nut off after we've got all that done. Well, this is pretty tight to record. Sounds like somebody out there needs a new belt. Needs it tightened, holy cow. That's pretty loud. Alright, so that rubber dust shield does just push back up in, as you can see. Grab a wrench for that. Wiring harness here, get that kind of give us some room. Got a big old honking wrench up in here. Not as tight as I thought it was going to be. So I'm using what size this thing is, 1.5/16" wrench to get that off. Wasn't that tight. I've done some of these before. We used to put a lot of gearbox seals. Whoa, hang on there. Used to put a lot of gearbox seals in different vehicles, Fords, Econolines and stuff. Used to work on a ton of Econolines because we did a lot of fleet service. And man, I know some of them Pitman arms, boy, they'd be on there so stinking tight. So I'm going to finish working at this and kick the camera on when I'm got it off there. And just a little bit more spinning. We got that nut and lock washer off there. Oh, take this cotter pin out of there. Looks like a 21. Oh, a little bigger. Ended up being a 22 millimeter. Wasn't very tight either. Get the air hammer, see if we can just knock that joint loose. Being that this one's no good, I'm just going to give it a little whap right on the end, see if it breaks that taper loose. Yep, I heard it pop loose there. Kind of interesting if we just take the air hammer and whack that Pitman arm off there. I think I'm getting a little too hopeful now. So I think I'm going to try it. As easy as this outer joint broke loose and as loose as that nut was on the inside, perceivably as loose as it was, this may not be original. This vehicle does have quite a few miles on it, and it's highly likely that this has been replaced. I know I don't have a good camera angle under here, but I need to get up under the other side with the air hammer, and I just can't do it with the camera. I want to try to whack down on it and see if we have to avoid us, you know, pulling the whole gearbox and everything. Typically I'll loosen up the gearbox. I got a low profile puller that goes in there, and we can take them, pull them right like that, but I'm going to try just whacking on this thing a little bit here. Oh, dude, that didn't even take like 1 second. So basically, we just knocked the Pitman arm right loose. That's fabulous. Well, this job is going way too easy. Something needs to explode here. So now this is the Pitman arm. This is the idler arm. And in order to change that Pitman arm, we've got to take the nut off of this idler arm to get this whole center link to drop down to allow us to get that out, because we're not pulling the gearbox at this point. So that's probably a 20, that's a 22 also. Let's take, that other one came loose pretty easy. I'm just gonna spin this castle nut up on backwards here, so I got a little something to hit on. Just gonna take the air hammer. Just gonna wail on that a little bit, see if that pops right loose on us. Let's see here. Oh man, this job is going so sweet. So ideally, get this light out here so you guys can see. Hopefully you can see what's going on here. So this is the center link. Ideally, we can get it off that idler arm there. Slide it off our Pitman arm. Aha! So this is where we might run into a problem. The Pitman arm might not come off the steering box. Yep, okay. Well, either way, we saved like a bazillion ton of time here. Let me show you what's going on. Alright, so even though we saved a ton of time being able to come up here with the air hammer, you know, just whack on it right here, get it to bust loose, we don't have the clearance needed. Let me see if I can try to do this one-handed to get it up off that stud. So what it's hitting on is this bar right here, which is the sway bar that goes from side to side. So it doesn't give us the clearance that we need. Not a big deal, because technically, in my opinion, we've got the hard part done, which is, you know, getting it off the steering box. So let me show you what to do. So over here on the driver's side frame rail, we've got these, you know, this big bolt here, this one here, and this one here. It holds the steering box on. Theoretically, I think we can take and just, you know, pull those off, pick the box up a little bit, and you know, slide our Pitman arm up out of there. So not that big a deal. So this last bolt, it's up underneath that inner fender. The inner fenders on these old Chevys are metal. So you can do what somebody else has already done. It looks like it's got some pry marks on there. Yeah, it's up to you. If it's your own truck, just stick a pry bar in here, you know, wedge up on that, dent it in, stick a socket on it. Or, you know, if it's your customers, you don't want to cause any damage to it, you know, any more than what's, you know, might have been an accident or something. I don't know. I just try not to, you know, damage things if they're not mine. So this one here, we're just going to save that one for last. I wrenched it loose. Gonna sit in here, wiggle the gearbox. I can spin it out by hand. It's just a little longer process. Okay, I got the last bolt out. I think we can just slide it off the frame here. It's kind of a little bit awkward. Pick it up what we need to. Yep, get that Pitman arm right out. There it is. Well, I'm really excited to see how this job's going. I know it doesn't make much for a dramatic production, but there's our Pitman arm. Got that out. And I guess one thing we should probably discuss a little bit is, you know, what would have happened if it didn't go as easy as it went. This is probably the easiest Pitman arm I've ever changed in my life. So I guess a couple things. If you're looking in on the grooves here, you'll notice, it's splined all the way around. There's 4 big splines. So essentially this could go on in 4 different directions. So make note of it if you pull your gearbox out to do this, which is, would be a much longer video. It would be, pulling your power steering lines, your steering shaft, taking gearbox out, using a conventional Pitman arm puller, popping it off, make sure you have it oriented correctly. Otherwise you're going to find out the hard way when you put it back in the vehicle. This one's, pretty easy, faces straight back. So what I would have used, if I was doing, a conventional method, if the air hammer didn't just knock it loose, I'll show you. Okay, so what I would have used, I think I've got so this here is your standard Pitman arm puller. If you pull the gearbox out, stick this on the Pitman arm, and usually you got to whale on these things and heat up the Pitman arm, and you can tell she's been used a day or two. I've probably broke it and warranted it and beat on it and smashed it. Used to use these a lot. You don't see a lot of Pitman arms nowadays. You don't see a lot of steering boxes because most of these trucks have rack and pinion. So on these Chevy trucks, I think this is, I don't know who makes this, maybe OTC. So there's the number on it. I don't know if you can see that or not. And then it's a 518684. I think it's an OTC. So this is a low profile Pitman arm puller. And what you would do is loosen up the steering box like we did. You slip this over the Pitman arm, essentially like this. It grips onto it. And then you can reach in here with your wrench, put some tension on it, and you whale on it a little bit with the air hammer, or sometimes you have to apply a little bit of heat. I don't like really heating them because it'll take a chance of ruining the seals, but this is a low profile Pitman arm puller, and that's pretty handy on these Chevy pickups. So, but I didn't get to show you any of this stuff, so I'll just show you without using it, I guess. That's kind of where we're at. So excited. Sometimes we need to catch a break when something really just goes right. I mean, it's not that I don't have time for it. I scheduled for it today, but boy, it sure is helpful to free up, like, the extra hour that we would have spent screwing around. Because now I can use it to do something else. I've always got something else to do. Just putting the grease fitting in the new one here. And then the grease boot, I guess you would call it. A little foam pad that goes on there. Keeps the grease in the joint. Keeps the crap out, one or the other. I'm going to slide this back up on there. Just leave it on loose. Take and stick the box back in and get that tightened up. Get all these bolts inserted by hand. And we got to draw the top one in first, because otherwise it'll come out and hit our inner fender. So I'll get these started, I'll get these snugged up, I'll get finished doing this job. So I've got the gearbox in there, all snugged up. I'm going to take and stick the lock washer and nut back up on this thing. Be a little tricky to manipulate around here. I put blue Loctite on the threads of the nut. I know it has a lock nut on it and everything, but it's just not something you want coming loose on you driving down the road. And like I say, this has those 4 big grooves in it, so it's only going to line one of 4 ways. And when the thing's in the vehicle, essentially can only go on one way, but if it's out of the vehicle, that could get you in trouble. Alright, so I got the nut and lock washer there put on. We're going to pull this rubber boot back down. I'll tell you what, the nut there is torqued on if you were going to pull the gearbox and torque it, I guess, at 185 foot-pounds. Make sure it's tight. How's that? Really tight. You don't want that coming off. I highly doubt you're going to be able to, you know, pull enough to cause any damage up here. But you want it tight. 184 foot-pounds is a lot of, you know, is a lot of torque, and that's why I decided to put a little bit of blue Loctite on it, and you know, just using a wrench you have, and you know, in the configuration up here, you know, you're going to be reefing on that thing pretty hard. So now we're just going back together. It's pretty easy. We're just going to take our center link here, get everything kind of pushed around a little bit where we need it, get it up on that stud. Come down, we're going to line it up on our idler arm here, put our nuts back on, put the cotter pins back in it, throw a little grease in there. We're almost done. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and torque these down, get our pins lined up, and put them in. Give her a couple pumps of grease, and that's that at the Pitman arm. So we'll put our little guard under here. In case you took it off and you don't remember, we've got this wavy washer and then this shouldered bolt that goes up through the pivot where it actually pivots on here. So there's two of those, one on each side, obviously. Trying to make stuff up for this job, it went way too well. But you got to get that once in a while, right? I feel kind of bad because if somebody's watching this video, they're gonna do their own Pitman arm. It usually doesn't go that well, at least for me. I mean, you know, usually things here are so rotted on that nothing goes well. Want to spray down those tie rod ends with a little bit of homebrew here. Whenever you change a Pitman arm or idler arm, it can change the height of that center link. Change the height of the center link and change your toe in on the front. So theoretically, even though we didn't touch any, you know, adjustments, so to speak, you should definitely have the toe reset on the front end. And like I say, it's simply because we changed the height of the center length, which, you know, ultimately changes the length of the toe. So that's pretty much it. Got the thing done. It went super easy, and I'm very thankful for the break, because the next one could be a real rodeo. You know, we could be here for 2 hours, and it could be a 2-part video. I didn't know how this one was gonna go, so I figured I better record it, and it is what it is. So hopefully, if you're working on yours, your idler arm, or your Pitman arm is bad, let me grab this bad one so you can see the stud popping in and out there. That's basically what I was doing to the center link. It was, you know, making it pop up and down, giving it some steering wheel free play, you know, failed inspection. So that's why we had to fix it. So like I say, hopefully if you're doing yours, it goes this easy. Hopefully you got an air hammer so you can get up in there and at least give it a try. I don't know if you could get up in there with a conventional hammer or not, get enough purchase on it to hit it down. But I did show you the other options. You got that low profile puller you can get, I think, from OTC, probably some other makers. You've got your standard Pitman arm puller, which is gonna, you know, force you to pull the box. So you got to pull the intermediate steering shaft. So there's some hazards, potential hazards there. You've got to pull your power steering lines, you know, things of that nature. And well, frankly, here in New York, if we don't have to mess with any lines that run any type of fluid, that's all the better. Because, you know, often you start touching that crap, and next thing you know, you went from changing a Pitman arm to doing a Pitman arm and power steering lines, from power steering lines to power steering pump, and list goes on. So anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Maybe it'll give you some ideas how to do it yourself, or to, you know, try to get up in there and hit on it with an air hammer first. Maybe that's how everybody does them, and I just have had a whole lot of years of hard pulling Pitman arms. So the guy across the street's mowing his lawn, and his lawnmower's pretty loud. So hopefully you can hear me. Anyhow, viewers, thanks for watching. Leave any questions, comments, or concerns you have in the comment box below. Check us out on Facebook. You can find us on Google Plus too, if you want to connect with us socially. And remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.